live in terms of making it public. So we are going to be a letting agency.
You're going to be a letting agency. Okay. Um, right. How much do you know at the moment about Arthur?
I mean, I've watched quite a few of the videos you've got on your website.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is if I give you an overview of the product,
Yeah,
yeah, without going into too much detail on each element, you can ask me questions at any point. Probably takes about 15-20 minutes for me to skirt through the system to give you a real sense of what's going on. So the first thing you're going to notice is when you log into the system and you have your dashboard, your panel.
it looks like
You,
Facebook.
well, you're going to see. Can you see the blue button that says Demo Area?
Yeah,
Okay, you can click on the demo area, and the purpose behind the demo area is for you to see. And we populate this with fictitious characters, but it's for you to see the interaction between the various user groups that you choose to invite to the system.
okay.
So if we go into the demo area, now the demo area has the same dashboard as you just saw on your main account.
Yeah,
On the top right hand corner here, we've populated it with we populated it with characters, like there's a letting agent, there's the property manager or landlord, there's a property owner, and in Arthur, the property owner is someone who's passive. They don't manage, but it's someone that the property manager can invite to the system so that they can see information that they would like to see, but they're not involved in the management process, and I'll show you how that works.
and if the property owner wishes to kind of be a bit more active, as an example, then are we able to change the permissions at all?
No, but at
Okay.
some point in the future we will allow permissions and personalisation on those areas, but for the moment, and you'll see when I take you into the property owner what they can actually do and see.
Sure.
But actually what we've given them is the ability to see is the right amount of information that those silly little phone calls shouldn't have to be made.
Yeah.
We've also populated it with some fictitious tenants and a couple of contractors,
Yeah.
okay, that you've invited. Right. A couple of things also about this. There's a mobile version here, and the mobile version button allows you to see each page in a mobile format, whether it's phone or tablet.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what page is in the background, your mobile version will show you that page in mobile format.
Okay.
And it also, you can use the mobile during the interactive process, and I'll go through that. On the dashboard you have what we call these panels and these panels are all movable, okay, so you can put the most important panels at the top, okay.
Yeah.
I tend to have, in fact I'll put I tend to put this one here, the Discovering Arthur panel. I sort of move a bit down here.
And in terms of what's displayed in each panel, can you customize that?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
These are things we at some point will want to do, but it's like everything really. We're continuing to improve it, but at the moment these panels are fixed.
I think you capture all the important stuff anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah. So the first panel, these are quick links to various elements of the site that you might want to do immediately, like add a task or upload a document, add a work order. They're just quick link buttons. The calendar area is very good. There's nothing on it at the moment in terms of the demo site. Let me just see if there's anything showing up. No, we'll put something into the calendar in a minute. But the calendar, if there was something on the particular date, you would click on that 23rd and it would show you a tenant moving in, a tenant moving out, a task that was due, something that was happening today, and you could link on those and go straight to that area. Okay. The good thing about the calendar is if you go to the mobile version, okay, you've got the calendar there, and if you're out and about you can see up and coming events, today's events. But what the system will also do is it will email you, as of this week we're implementing it, a daily and weekly sheet. And the daily sheet will include everything that's happening on that day, whether tenants are moving in, moving out, if there's something with a due date, that will all show up on the daily sheet. And the weekly sheet that will go out for that week will have everything coming up in that week, and the system will just automatically email you that at the beginning of the day.
Fantastic.
Okay. Um, New messages. This is your message inbox. This is messages coming in from any of your invited user groups, whether it's another property manager on the system that you've invited, whether it's a contractor, whether it's a tenant, whether it's the owner or the letting agent. Whoever's using the messaging system, that's where it comes into it.
And how do they send the messages in? Is it by text or by email?
No. So what they do is they log into their account and they just simply send a message. Now the message will appear on your inbox here, but it will also be generate. It will also generate an email version of that message.
Mm-hmm.
And when the email comes into your inbox, you could actually just reply to that message within the email, and it will feed back into the system. But the originator of the message must message from within the system first. And then once the first email goes off, you can reply within emails rather than reply within the message of the account. Does that make sense?
So when the tenant, say, just moves in, will they get like an automatic email if they're using their own password? Or do they
Okay,
have to-
so that's called an invite, and I'll come to that. That's not a message. What the messaging area is conversation.
Okay.
That's all about conversation. What you're referring to there is to the invited email, the welcome email
Yeah.
that the tenant gets. Yes, but that's not messaging.
Okay.
That's something completely different. Okay, so the Right Now panel, which is very important, the Right Now panel gives you a complete overview of what's happening in the portfolio at any one time. What's available to let, submitted offers, how many tenancies approved, or if there's an unregistered deposit, etc. So, and all of these are linkable. So if you go to available to let, you'll see what properties or units are available to let. And there are
Yeah.
links all over the place. So you then link into the unit, you can link into whatever you want to link to. And if you go to the mobile version, that Right Now panel that I just showed you, if I go to the home page, is here. You see that?
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, and those are Right Now gives you a matrix of what's happening. So available to let, we'll just click through that on the mobile, and you can see exactly what you can see in the background.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then if you were to click on that, there are various functions that you can do within the system. And this is going into a bit more detail, but we can certainly do that at another point if you feel this system's for you. I just want to give you a feel of everything. So you can see that the mobile's very feature rich. In other words, if you're on holiday, coffee shop, wherever, you can function from your mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very nice.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to the dashboard. Okay. Then you've got tasks pending. These are tasks that you've either set yourself or the tenant has raised an issue. Okay, so here's one. The tenant, there's a leak coming in from the flat upstairs. Can you see that?
Yeah.
You also get a banner, just in case you don't see that, that says there's an unread issue available. And if you click on that, it'll take you through to that. It's the same thing. If you go to the mobile version, I just want to show you here as well, you've got that banner. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and if you click on the banner there, there's a leak coming in. There's these are tasks pending. Yeah, these are all things that you haven't dealt with yet.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you go into there's a leak in my flat, again, this has come in from the tenant, and you can do various things. And what I'll do is I'm going to create a task, a new one from a tenant, and rather than walk you through halfway through, I'm going to take it from the beginning from a tenant side. So, but you can see, the reason I want to show you this is you can see, you can see you've got real functionality within the app.
Yeah.
Okay, right, and then once you've started the task, it then goes into progress. Okay, so in fact, once a task, let me just move that here. Once a task is gone from pending, in other words, you've actioned it, you've done something, it then goes into your progress area. So these
Okay.
are all tasks that you've got in progress. They're
Sure.
not completed, but they're all there. Okay, so when your tenant moves into the flat, let's go to a tenant. The first thing a tenant is going to get a welcome email generated by the system. Now that welcome email is customizable. We just give you a default one.
Okay.
Okay, and you can use a default one or you can customize. And customizing your emails is the heart of the system, and I'll take you through some of it at the end, but without too much detail, because that's the real heart of the system. And that once you've set all that up, that you are done. The system will generate lots of things for you, that it will do for you that you would naturally do yourself. So that's called manage automated tasks. But let me get to that at the end.
Okay.
As an area. Yeah. So the first thing a tenant's going to see from the email is they're going to get a link in. Sorry, they're going to get a link in that email, and that link is going to take them to the web. And if they do it on their phone, it's going to recognise that it's on their phone, and it's going to take them to the mobile version. Okay, and this is the mobile version of what you see behind. So the information you can see behind, like let me just come out of that. Your property manager, so who you are, your rent payment, how much, and then if there were bank details, which we haven't got in the demo area, but it would be listed here who the rent is got to be paid to, the bank details that it's got to be paid to.
Yeah.
It gives their tenancy dates, and it gives their deposit information. Okay, and if you go to the mobile version, that is an area called My Tenancy, and you will see exactly the same things there. Can you see that? Same boxes there. Okay. Now, these buttons here are the main buttons that tenants tend to use. So we encourage tenants to use the messaging system within the application because it's all archived. So if they do anything, so my welcome email, because I use Arthur for my property portfolio, my welcome email stipulates that all issues and all messaging must be done through the system. And I never ever get anyone that doesn't do that, because that's how I've stipulated that things need to be done.
What happens if things were quite urgent?
It's easy. They just go onto the app, and I'll show you raise an issue. It's much quicker. And in fact, my welcome email says that it's much quicker if they use the system than attempt to phone. Because either there's going to get an answer phone or I'm not. So I make it very clear. It depends on how you run your business. It's purely personal to you how you run your business. But in my particular case, I stress to the tenants, I don't want phone calls, I don't want texts, and I don't want emails.
Totally
so
agree.
You can raise the issue through the system, and we'll raise an issue, so you'll see how it works. So posting a message, very simple. They just go onto the system and post a message. And then you've got to remember, most tenants, particularly when they've moved into the flat, don't have broadband or internet, so they will use the mobile version. And they can just where's messages? Inbox, and they can just post a message there. Okay. Now raise an issue. Okay, so there's a common button that they often do. So let's raise an issue. Let's put my lights have stopped working. Okay, and we'll put that as a maintenance. It's a maintenance issue, but it could be a rent issue, it could be something to do with a notice, an inventory, whatever. And we'll put it as an emergency, not that it is, but we'll put it as an emergency. Okay. And the system will save that, but because they put emergency, the system's going to make sure that it is an emergency, because you don't want a tenant putting emergency for a light bulb. So we put a bit of text here. This should be used for true emergencies. Do not use in other circumstances. We reserve the right to charge for non-emergency use of this button. So it's just a way of stressing to them that they need to think about it, but let's assume it is. Okay. So now what the tenant has got on the system is they've now got the issue number, the reference number. They've got the status of that issue. It says it's pending. Okay. It was raised by them, and some tenant's information. On the right hand side here, can you see activity? Okay. This is the activity log associated with that issue. So whatever happens in the name of the issue is listed in the activity log. So whether you respond with a message or you set it in progress, it will build within the activity log for the tenant. So the tenant always knows what's going on.
Okay.
We give them additional information in the progress bar, that it's pending. Okay. And it says not assigned yet, please be patient. So if you again, I'm not teaching you how to suck eggs, but I often find if you communicate with people and they get information, they don't phone you, they don't bother you, they can see what's going on.
That's great.
So let me raise another issue on the mobile so you can see from a tenant's perspective how they do that. Whoops, go to your dashboard, don't worry about that. That's fine. Okay, so raise an issue. Okay, so let's raise an issue. This time we'll say, please can I speak to you about late rent? Okay. Still can't spell. Right. Okay, and that's going to be a rent issue, and it's not going to be an emergency, and we'll just put that through. Okay. Fine. And you can see there they've got the same ability to do that. There's the activity log, yeah,
Yeah.
and they can edit the issue, they can post another message to you through the system, so whatever. So the functions are there, and again, it's said not assigned yet, please be patient. Okay, so you're getting a sense now that the tenant can now raise an issue. We'll just skip through the rest of what else they can do. They can track the issue. This is tracking their issue. So if they had a number of issues there, they can track them all. Okay, they just simply go to track my issue, and there's a number of issues that they're tracking. Okay. My documents. This is related to any documents you would have uploaded to the tenancy, whether it's a notice, whether it's a contract, an inventory report, whatever. They can access their documents through that. If you serve the notice, that's going to appear here. And there isn't a notice in there at the moment, but if you add any inventories to the flat while they're living there, a new washer dryer, a new washing machine, whatever, you can add it into the inventory at this point as well. Utilities, these are utility information like serial numbers, meter reading numbers, and you can put in meter reading numbers on your side, and if you've got a contractor or an inventory clerk that's out doing your check-ins, they can put the inventory, they can put on their side of the fence, they can also put in the serial number or the meter reading.
Sure.
So your contractors out on the road, if you ask them to, can also put in a meter reading. It's quite useful that. Tenants can see their statements and any disbursements that you charge to them through the system live. Those are live things, and any inboxing. Yeah. And if I quickly go to the mobile version, okay, you can see raise an issue, track my issue, my documents, notices, inventory, utility. It's all there.
Yeah.
Okay, which is good. Okay, now let's go to that issue. Let me go to the property manager. Okay, and let's do this through the mobile because you're out and about. Okay. Okay, let's go to an unread issue. And let's see, my lights have stopped working, which is what I put down, yeah? Okay, and it's the emergency. Now, I've got a number of options that I can do with this task, yeah? I can just simply set it in progress and do nothing at the moment. I can post a message back to the tenant and say, have you tried the fuse box? Yeah? Or I can add a note saying, this tenant's a little bit mad and I think they're asking too many questions. Whatever you want, that's private to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can add a work order. Okay, so we're going to add a work order. We're going to give this to a contractor. Okay, so it just reproduces that, and if you want to add any comments for the contractor, you could put in, if you've got your favourite contractor, Ian, please check all bulbs. Yeah. Okay, I'll just put that as Mark. Okay. And I'm not going to put that now. This tick here, make this work order visible for tenants and occupants. That's if I want the tenant to see what's going on, and that's why it's ticked by default. I mean, then you can untick it and they won't see it, but I can't quite see situations where you might not want that to happen.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you might do, so you can untick it. This is telling the contractor if it's an emergency. This is telling the contractor you want a quote before he does any work. Okay. And this is sharing unit and access details. If there's an alarm or the doors have codes, you're allowing the contractor to see that.
Fantastic.
Okay. And if you put in, you might have a budget, and let's put the work orders to be completed by the 24th. Okay, and we've done that. So now this is go down, produce electrician. Okay, now what I've effectively done is I've created the work order sheet, and now what I need to do is choose my contractor that I want the job to go to.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just choose the contractor. Okay, and for the purposes of the demo, there are just two contractors, but I'm going to choose Oakstone.
Yeah.
I could choose Oakstone and Inventory Clerk and put them both on the work order, and then the first one that accepts the job gets it. The other one, if he tries to get it, won't be allowed to. He'll just say, sorry, you're too late.
Yeah.
And I often do that. If I've got a cleaning job or I've got an inventory, I'll send it to 2 or 3 inventory companies or 2 or 3 cleaning companies, because I'm not really fussed and I want the first one just to do the job and they get it. Yeah. So let's choose Oakstone. Okay, I'm not going to find another contractor, and I'm going to do that as done. Okay, so now what's happening is I've sent the job out to a contractor, and I've done that in 10 seconds. If I wasn't talking to you, it'd take me 10 seconds to do it. Yeah. Now, in doing that, the tenant knows I've done something. Okay, and if we go back to the tenant, I think the tenant was Kirsty. Yeah. And if I go to track issues, my lights have stopped working. That little thing shows there's a work order. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's still saying it's not assigned yet, so please be patient, but it's in progress. Okay. Now, it's not assigned yet because no one's accepted the job.
Sure.
But the tenant knows it's in progress. Now, if you look down the activity log, the status now has been changed to live. Okay. I'm sharing the work order with the tenants. The system's telling the tenant everything I've done, yeah?
Okay.
And it's saying that this chat's been invited to the work order, okay? So it's telling them what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go to the contractor. Is this okay so far?
Yeah. This
Okay.
is very intuitive and
Okay.
yeah, really good.
Okay, so now let's go to the contractor. When you invite your contractors, they get this as well. They get a web form and they get a mobile. Okay. Now, when a job is created, the tenant gets it on their app, but they also get an email. And within the body of the email is a description of the job and 2 buttons, accept or reject. Now, they can do exactly the same if they go into the app, but the reason we do the email is sometimes contractors are out, they haven't got time to go into the app, they see the job on an email and they just press accept. And once they press accept, it means they've got the job. Okay, but if we go in through the app, job on offer, and can someone take a look at my boiler? Thanks, Saul. So let's go into that particular one. They can view on the map where the job is, they can accept the job, turn down the job, or post a message. Yeah.
We'll also get like all the tenants' details and their phone numbers as well for
Once they've accepted it, not before, because until they accept it, they don't need to know. Until they've accepted it, they don't need to know information other than where it is and what the description is.
Sure. Okay.
So let's accept the job. And are you sure you want to accept the job? Yes, accept the job. Okay. And now they can view the work order. And once they've got that, they've got all the tenant information. Tenants, Saul Trump, phone number, mobile if they want to. Yeah? And now, this is live. Let's go back to live job. Okay. So, yeah, so there you go. So that's telling them now. Now the tenant knows from their side of the fence that this is the contractor who's got the job, and now they've got the details of who the contractor is. They've got his phone number, they've got his name, and what they've also got is a message that says, please use the messaging system if you want to message the contractor. Okay, but if the contractor wants to post a message to the tenant, yeah, you are always included in that. Okay, and they can then post a message to the tenant with you CC'd on. Hi, I will be there shortly. Okay?
Yeah.
Fine. So, if I now go to back to the property manager, where is my task pending?
Task in progress, isn't it? Mine, like, I know it was something.
Tasks in progress.
It was the boiler issue, wasn't it? I think
it was a boiler issue, but because I'm working on demo account, I may have plugged up my data here. Let me very quickly reset my data. I can reset my data all the way back to scratch. It's much better that way because I was playing with this yesterday and I may have put some really crappy data on.
no worries.
Okay, so let me just reset that. Let me just very, very quickly, if you don't mind, just create an issue. Raise an issue. My ceiling. Let me just take it through from here. Fine. Let me just go to the property manager. So I'm just doing this very quickly. I had this yesterday. It's kicking me out for some reason. Okay, there you go. Can someone take a look at my boiler? Was that the one I had in? Let me just reset again. It's back to... The problem with the demo area is it works well, but when you start feeding in so much crappy data after a while, it sometimes just plays up a little bit. Okay. Sorry, bear with me.
No problem. Take your time.
My ceiling is leaking.
You know when an emergency comes through,
Yeah.
do you get any sort of like, you know, pop-up message on your phone, or is it only when you log
No,
in?
no, no. The system generates emails for everything that's happening.
Yeah.
So when the tenant raises that issue, sorry, I'm just having problems with my demo area at the moment. So the system will always generate an associated email. Okay. So for example, let me just show you. If I bring my actual, hold on, let me just try again. Okay. And let me just go to the property manager. That should come through. My ceiling is leaking, sorry. Okay, we should have reset that. Add a work order. Save that. Just click my contractor. All services. Oakstone. Okay, let me just go back to Oakstone and let's just accept it. Okay, job on offer. Ceiling is leaking. Accept the job. Accept the job. View work order. Okay, so sorry, now I'm back on the web version for the contractor, but now the contractor, once he's completed the job, can set it to completed. Okay, he can raise an invoice, he can upload a document. So if you're using inventory clerks, for instance, like I do, they can upload that document by clicking that, share it with the tenants, and the tenants have got the document as well.
Right, okay.
Okay, it's as easy as that. It doesn't have to come to me for me then to send it to the, that's how I operate it. And my inventory clerks put a message in there saying you have 7 days to review this. If there's any problems, we'll assume that it's accepted, and that just automatically goes onto the tenant side. Now, even uploading a document will send the tenant an email saying there's a new document on the system, and it also gives them a link to that document, so they can download it from the email. Okay. Now, if I go to the tenant. Right, dashboard. I go to the tenant and I go into that particular issue, track my issues. My ceiling is leaking. There you go. So the job has been assigned to. You can phone, but it's better to use like the post a message button above. Okay, so it's encouraging them to use a messaging system, and if they're on their mobile version, which often they are, there it is. Okay, that's the mobile for the tenant. So it's telling them they can see everything. The job's been accepted by Ian Stone. Okay, it's got Ian Stone's details. They can post a message to Ian Stone, yeah, which I'm CC'd on, so that you can have a conversation, which I often get between contractor and tenant, and I can see what's going on. So nobody can say he said, I said. Everything is audited, everything is time stamped. From the minute you've received the job, the minute you've gone out, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in a reasonable time. No one could ever accuse you of not doing anything. Okay, and you've kept everyone informed in doing so. Okay. So now let's just go back to the property manager for a minute. Okay. So the property manager now has a task in progress. My ceiling is leaking. Okay. Then once that's completed, he can complete that task. But the contractor will come in and say, I've done the job, it's completed, I press the completed button and I will sign it off. Okay, and in fact if we go to live data, this is my portfolio live. I haven't got any awaiting sign off, but can you see awaiting sign off?
Yeah.
So that would be a job that the contractor has completed, and all I have to do is sign it off and give him a rating, and I rate them. I rate the job.
Fantastic.
Okay. Oh, there is one awaiting sign off. There you go. On the demo, there's one. Okay. So there it goes. It requires completion approval. Okay. That's a job that was done. I'll set that to complete. Okay, and I'll put in a comment. Great job.
And that feeds back to the contractor as well.
Correct. And it gives him good ratings. It's nice to have a bit of feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Carrying on through for the moment, so obvious things like adding a property, adding tenancies, you've got all of that in this area, so you can see all your tenancies, you can see any tenancies that's got a missing section 21, any tenancies that's got an unregistered deposit you might want to bring up just in case. But if you go back to your dashboard, you've also got that any unregistered deposits. Yeah. And then that tells you which ones you've got to register still.
Okay.
Yeah. So the system is always telling you things you need to know. Expiring certificates, expiring notices, if a quote requires an approval. It does an awful lot, but it's doing things in a way that you just can do without really picking up any other device, which is important. Okay, the calendar area. In fact, if we go back to calendar, I just wanted to show you because I've got a properly active calendar. Let's say we look at tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow. I've got a tenancy start and a tenancy move in date, and a move in. So I just go to that, and it tells me I'm in the tenant now that's moving in. Okay. Now, while we're on this, the financial elements to Arthur is a good area, because I've got an approved tenant here that's moving in, and I want to set up the rent schedule and enter initial funds. And if I just click on that, I won't fill it in yet because I haven't got all the information. Now, no, it's actually not taking me that, because what it's actually saying is it's saying I've got to fill in these details, and these details are where the rent's being paid and who's holding the deposit.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's told me that I need to fill that in. That wasn't filled in. It was missed out. So now I can go into this area. Okay. And once I'm in here, it's very easy. You just simply tick the area. These are receipts. If you've got any letting fees, you would enter it there. Any management fees. Whether the fee type is fixed or it's a percentage, yeah, and then any registered deposit information, who's holding it,
yeah,
and that's a very simple screen. And once you've set that screen up, it sets up all your recurring charges. Okay, and if you've got recurring charges that you forgot or you want to add in a new recurring charge, say someone's renting a garage, you can go to recurring charges within that tenancy and add a new one.
Okay. Yeah.
And that again will lay in all the charges for you, all your future charges that are due to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Let's go back to, is there anything else on here on data that I've actually got live that's useful? Let's go to expiring certificates. It's quite useful there. If you go to expiring certificates, I've got these gas certificates that are expiring.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can raise a work order straight from here.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So just simply press that and it takes me to raising a work order.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go carry on the top row. So you've got financials. Now, financial element here, you've got the financials within the tenancy, or you've got a financial area which you don't have to be within the tenancy to put information in. So you don't have to go and find the tenant, although it's very easy. You could put in, for instance, let me put in a Nugent Terrace, that's a property, and let's put it against this tenant. Actually, they're passed. Hold on. Vanessa. So I could put a charge. It could be a rent charge. It could be a disbursement. Yeah. Let's say, for instance, I'm charging her for something she's asked us to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I put a description, who the PAYE is. Is it the owner that's got to pay, or is it the tenant?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just put that in, and it saves it to her account. So I could do that within her account, within her tenancy, or I can do it without. I can do it quite easily from this financial block up here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've obviously got all the rent reconciliation stuff, which is straightforward. Show me all my overdue rents, any remittances to property owners, contractors, payment list. This is the financial area, and if you decide after for you, we would probably just do a separate 20-minute tutorial on the financials.
Yeah.
But setting up the financials is just that one screen that I showed you earlier. It's very, very straightforward.
Okay.
Okay. Documents. Again, you don't have to go into the tenancy to upload a document. You could just upload it from here. Okay, it's just a nice way of doing it. You could, again, let's go to Nugent Terrace. We'll put it against that particular tenant, and I can then share it with my letting agent if I want. I can share it with the contract tenant. I can share it with the contractor. I can share it with the property owner. Okay. And then down here I just tick email who the file will share. So if I want to email them to tell them that there's a new thing on there, or I just want to put it on, I just tick that. Okay, so again, sharing documents is really easy, because effectively all you're doing is you're saying who you want, which of your user groups you want to allow to see the document.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Messages is actually quite useful. If you've got a portfolio that you want to do group messaging to, you can post a group message. Okay, and you could send it to all active tenants in a building. So we happen to own our freeholds and all the flats in them, so I could send to all the tenants in Nirvana Court that there's going to be a maintenance scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
And it will go to all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Reports, you can run as many reports as you want, and you just create your own custom reports, tenancy, unit, work order reports, whatever you want.
So going back to what you just said about messages, you can send group messages. Is that what you just said?
Yes, you can send group messages. So if I post a group message, and let's assume I'm sending it to, I could send it to all my contractors, I could send it to all my property owners. I'm closing at Christmas, whatever you message you want to put, Happy Christmas. Or you could send it to all your tenants within a particular property, or all your tenants throughout the portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then that's a group message that will go to every tenant. So you don't have to do it individually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that okay on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you obviously got your unread messages that are coming through all the time.
Yeah.
Which you can see there, or you'll see it in your dashboard. Here, unread messages. Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. In fact, this is a good one to show you, because this is communication between the tenant and the contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, this is a bit odd, this one, but that's because someone has replied within their email account, but for some reason their email account's written a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
But it's there. I've not seen this before, but that's to do with the email account that the person's replied from. But dear Tracy, our flights land. So that's from the tenant, that's from the inventory clerk. So I can see there's communication. I'm happy, I'll leave it go, and I can join in with that communication if I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Contacts, again, you're just adding new contacts. So if you want to invite a new contractor, or one of your colleagues as a property manager, you can just add a new contact, and they then get the invite email, which you can customize, and they get their login details.
Okay.
Okay, and obviously companies about yourselves. Now, the other people, just very quickly, that you can invite, do you do your own lettings, or do you use external letting agents?
No, we do our own lettings.
So you're not going to invite a letting agent, so don't worry about that. But if you ever were, you could invite an external letting agent.
Sure.
Okay. Do you manage for property owners?
Yeah. Okay,
so the other area that, now again, you don't have to invite them, but you can do. And if you invite them, what they get is this. Okay. They get a lot of property owners. I manage for 2 or 3. Most of our stuff is really ours, but I've got friends who I manage for as well. So I invite them to the system, and they get a mobile app, which a lot of them use. And if you come across here, it says sorry, don't worry about this, it's just the demo. What's available to let, what's under offer, any work orders that are requiring approval, any expiring tenancies, things that they might want to know about. Okay, and within the property owner area, you've got units that they can see available to let, what's under offer, what's let, what's not available, etc. Okay, if we go back to that, tenancies, they can see tenancy information, but they can't communicate with the tenant. Okay, so they can see you've got an approved tenant. Okay, they can see who the tenant is, what the registered deposit is, what the rent is. Okay, they can post a message, but they can only post a message to you. They cannot post a message to the tenant. Okay, they can see any activity associated with that tenancy. Yeah, so just basic information they can see. So they can see that what you're giving them is transparency, but without the ability to engage with anyone else but yourself.
Yeah.
They can see the tenants, but they can't do anything there. There's no arrow going anywhere.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can see any documents, tenancy documents, unit documents that you put on the system. Okay, so they can see that sort of information. What else can they do? They can approve a quote. Okay, I don't think there's one there, but if there was a quote for them to approve, you've got a quote come in from one of your contractors, you put it on the system, and it's asking them to approve it, and there's a button which they can reject or accept the quote there and then.
Yeah.
Okay. They can see obviously documents, which is there, statements. They'll see their property owner statements.
Yeah.
Obviously any messages, your details, and anything about themselves they need to change. Okay, so that is a whirlwind tour of Arthur. So effectively what you've got is a platform where you can invite users to help you manage in a more efficient way. That's really what Arthur's about.
Yes.
So for me, I find it highly useful having my tenants on the system because I don't have any other communication from them. I can share my documents within no time at all.
Yeah.
And I find having my contractors on the system is great because any issues that come in, I can get a work order out within seconds.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it. So, yeah, I find it a really efficient tool actually. And for me, I'm always out and about, so I can do most of it on my mobile on the go. I don't have to wait to come back or try and find a number or a document or anything like that. I've got it all.
Yeah.
Right, questions?
I've got quite a lot.
Okay, far away, because I probably missed lots because there's quite a lot.
Yeah, no, I can understand it
to go through, and yeah, it's a lot to cover, and that's why I think if you are interested in Arthur, we break it down into 3 areas. We do the general one now.
Yeah.
Then we advise you to put your documents, your properties, and your tenancies on the system, and you invite your tenants.
Yeah.
And put your contractors on the system, and you use Arthur for workflow.
Yeah.
Then when you want to get into the financials, we give you another 15-20 minutes chat. Probably David will do that with you.
Brilliant.
So that you can set your financials up. And then lastly, which is this area here. Now what I'll do is, this is what I wanted to briefly touch on before you ask any questions. You can personalise the dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can personalise the whole thing with your logos and your colours. But this is the area I wanted to talk to you about, which is called Manage Automated Tasks. When you've got viewings, so you put viewings on the system. I forgot, of course, you can put viewings on the system as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't cover that, but you can.
Yeah.
Okay. When you put viewings on, or your tenant moves in, or you've issued a work order, or you've uploaded a document, or you've changed the moving in date, these are all what we call events. Now, when an event occurs within managing a tenancy or property, invariably there are a number of tasks that you would carry out. Okay. So, for example, if a tenant was ending, okay, you'd probably set yourself a task to email the tenant to confirm they want to leave the flat or they want to continue. Okay, that's an action. Okay, now that action can be carried out automatically by Arthur at the point that the tenancy goes to ending. Okay, so there are lots of actions that Arthur carries out for you automatically. So I'll give you a perfect example. If I go to my live data and I just go to dashboard, give you an example of an event. I've got an approved tenant. Okay, so this is an approved tenant. This is someone who's passed all their references and we've agreed to give them the flat. Okay, the time at this point their status is approved. Okay, so we give tenancy status: prospective, approved, current, periodic, ending, past, rejected. Okay, now at the moment they're approved. Now at the approved stage, I do a number of things. I've set this up myself. So for me as a business, I invite the tenant.
Yeah.
I notify a tenant with an email that there's going to be a check-in.
Yeah.
And they're going to wait to hear from the inventory clerk. And I'm going to give myself a task to organise the check-in.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've ticked all those boxes, and I can do that on my mobile,
Mm-hmm.
all those things happen. And that list can be as long or short as you want.
Right.
So effectively what you're doing is, now if I go to, now I change that tenant to current, another event, I got the option to invite at that point, but I've already done it anyway. I can email council tax, email water company, email the unit owner that the tenant's moving in.
Yeah.
So those things will automatically occur because I've asked Arthur to do them for me.
That's brilliant.
And all these emails are all, we give you them as default, and then you can personalise them.
Yeah.
So if I go back in, just keep all that in your mind for a minute. If I go to manage automated tasks, I go to tenancies, and this is slightly more complicated area, but once you've done it once, it's easy. Tenancy set to current, email council, email water company, email unit owner.
Yeah.
Now if I want to edit that email, I just simply, those are the variables, I just right click, I put the variables in that I want.
Fantastic.
And the system will just create the email that I personalised. Yeah. So this is email council tax. The primary tenant, whoever that is, has moved into the unit address. Okay. Now I want it to send a message to council tax. Now that's assuming I put council tax email into the system when I just put the property in. So it'll tell you that you haven't put it in. It won't send the email. But so there's lots of things that the system will do, and you can customise the system to manage your business the way you want it managed. Now that's the third of the tutorials that we probably do with you, although there are videos to cover this. Once you've set this up, what you want the system to do, you're rarely going to go back to this. I rarely go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does that make sense?
That is, I must say, fantastic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you get
Just
that.
the
That's great.
whole thing, how it's all, because we have been trying to look for like a bit of a follow-up system and sending out automated messages. We haven't quite got there yet, but it's great to know that you've got, you know, this software that covers quite a lot, pretty much everything that we're looking for. So that's really good.
Well, you got to remember, we're like you. We've been landlords for 20 years, and we started building this nearly 3 years ago because there was nothing out there that allowed us to communicate, that wasn't heavily financially based, because that's not what takes most of your time up.
Yeah.
But to give you another perfect example, if I go to a late rent, this is another perfect example. If a tenant's got a late rent, it's not acceptable. You just simply send an overdue rent letter, and that's customizable in that area I just showed you. I won't do it, but it would say let's send that, and that's it. It's gone. The tenant's got it.
Brilliant.
It's that easy, and I can do that anywhere really.
You know when a tenant gets a message, in their portal, for example, that late rent message goes into their inbox in their portal. Do they also get like an email alert in their personal email address as well?
Yes. Now, if I go to manage automated tasks, and I go to rent, and I go to one of the late rents, and I go to email tenant, so they get an email as well. Yeah. And again, we give you this default email, which is all very rent arrears, legal action pending. I'm sorry. Yeah. But that's just a standard thing. But you can personalise this.
Yeah.
And you put your variables in, and it just sends it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ask away now, because you've probably got quite a few questions.
Okay. One thing that we were looking to do is when tenants apply, we were hoping to send them to our website, where there'll be a form on the website for them to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
And once they fill it in, they click submit, Is there a way of linking it with?
What are you asking them to fill in? For is this for a viewing?
This is when they. That's a good question, but there's two parts. One, yes, for viewing, and secondly is when they are happy to take a room,
Yeah.
and we normally at the moment we just give them a PDF document for them to fill out. But I was hoping to just take it all on through the website.
What are you? Sorry, in the form, what are they actually filling in?
Like the name, a phone number, date they want to move in, date of birth, property which they're inquiring about, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so that's okay. So for the moment, no. But what you would, and you want to, and the reason you're asking them to do that is what to book a viewing or to give you information about themselves first.
It's when they've come. This is after, it's the stage after the viewing, so they've looked at the property, they really like it, and they want to take it.
Okay,
So they go to our website, and we will hopefully try to get like a payment button as well, so that they can pay the holding fee as well.
okay. So no, but where we might be able to help if you go to viewings
Yeah,
and you add a new viewing. Let's just say,
yeah,
and remember, you can do this on your mobile phone.
yeah,
Okay, so you would put their first name, their last name, is the person UK,
yeah.
the viewing date, the viewing time, if they've made an offer,
Hmm.
any notes that you want to put against them, their company information, their contact email, their status, their employment, their salary, and their proposed moving date.
Yeah,
But you would have to fill that in. We've got no ability at the moment. That's not to say we won't have in the future for you to personalise this, but at the moment you are the only one that can fill this in at your end. So there will
okay.
be a little bit of double entry if you want to use this,
No, that's
or you continue with your form until the point that you put them on as the approved tenant.
yeah,
At
that's
which
fine.
point you would put them on as an approved tenant.
Yeah, because I think to because this obviously is the manual bit, which is fine. I suppose to automate it, is it something called API? Is it where you link it?
Yes, correct. And we are writing APIs at the moment, but I don't know what software you're using.
We
Uh,
we're just using some sort of website builder from 123 Reg.
okay, I'm not that technical to know how you would combine that.
Yeah. Okay,
But
don't worry about
it,
that for now. That I
yeah,
mean, that's just a small issue for now.
okay.
That's
But you
fine.
can add viewings yourself. If I just, sorry, just give me 1 second. But if I
Yeah.
just, where is it? If I go to the mobile version for a minute. Viewing. So you can. Again, I don't know. You want the tenants to do it, but you could, if you want, you take a phone call or something. You can stick it on your mobile phone there.
Yeah.
It all feeds through. And the good thing about viewings is that once you put a viewing date in, I think in managed automated events, it will confirm the view. If you've got an email address, you can confirm the system will confirm to the tenant the viewing and the time of the viewing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Right. Go on. Carry on.
And
Yeah.
as we like to market to our tenants and send them newsletters and stuff. Can we send stuff like that through this portal, which will then arrive at their personal email address, or is it will it
Well,
only?
you've got two ways of doing that. Okay. The first thing is if you've got a newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's upload a new document. You can share with all tenants.
Yeah.
So you could, in theory, if your newsletter's a PDF, yeah, you would
Yeah.
drop that down and you would put other and you would put name newsletter.
Yeah.
Choose the file and it will go to every single tenant on your portfolio with an email, with the link to the PDF as well.
Okay, and it will go into their personal email.
Yes, because it's going to them. Yeah,
Okay.
the email goes to them, and it will also be in their document section and build up in their document section all your newsletters.
And then in terms of sending the message out, what would it will come up obviously with our company email, or would it come up as something that came through Arthur?
No, it's at the moment, and we are aware of this. Let me just.
I'll probably prefer it to come through Arthur.
Yeah, it comes through this odd email thing because, in other words, although it's they can't. Can they reply? If it's a document, they're not going to reply to the email anyway. They're just going to see it. Yeah, it's going to come through. I can't remember what's on the email actually. What the address is. Hold on. It's a garbage address. It's a funny sort of thing. We need to sort that out. But it ultimately will say it says your name, who it's from.
Yeah.
And it says that there's a document link. So it gives the information about you, and it gives a link to the document. So if it's a PDF you want them to have a look at, if it's a newsletter, that would be the way to do it. Would be to share it with all your tenants.
And then, so when you send, okay, so this might not have been the best example with a document, but say, I don't know, you send an email saying that the rent's overdue, something like that, and it goes to their email.
Yes.
If they replied within that email,
It'll come back to you.
it'll come back to me in Arthur, yeah?
It'll come back to you in Arthur and
Fantastic.
in an email.
Okay, all right, brilliant. Okay, super. Do you have any text messaging functions?
Not at the moment. Let me just. Where is it? We started to.
I suppose the only important thing with text
No, you
messaging.
can see there we receive SMS notification. It's not really built at the moment. We've got it in there as functionality we'd like to add, but the reality is we're finding the emails working very well anyway. So
Yeah.
because we would have to, with SMS you would have to buy units of text.
Yeah, with the bucket.
And we started to, and then actually what we found is that because the email, everyone's got smartphones now, and everyone generally has email accounts.
Yeah.
Text is sort of, this wasn't so. It was very important 5 years ago, but most people have email accounts now. So we've sort of started to build it, and it's sitting there with nothing in it at the moment.
Okay. Now, one thing we like to do, I'm sure you do as well, is to look at our lead conversion rate. So we'd like to look at how many people did viewings, and then out of those, how many people then took a room. Do you have those kind of statistics available?
Let's have a look. Create a custom report. Again, this is an area we're still working on, but let's have a quick look. So let's put the unit. It's a unit report. Let's continue. Let's have a look. See if viewings are on there. Yeah, total viewings. There you go. So what you would do is you would create a report, the address, add selected field.
And then could you do this for each property manager?
When you meet,
Oh yeah, you got property manager there.
you've got property manager. But what I would say is, a lot of these reports I haven't run myself, but you can see what we're trying to do here, and then you can go to total viewings.
Yeah.
And in theory, you can do it under all owners or just a particular owner.
Yeah.
If they're unavailable, occupied or created from, let's just save that for the moment. We'll call that report name is viewings. I haven't run anything like this, so what we're very good at is when people start to use a system, everyone uses it slightly different. And what we have tried to do with Arthur is not create a system that told you how to run things.
Yeah.
So we try and make it as flexible as possible, and you might come across a problem and you tell us and we try and solve it very quickly.
Yeah.
But let's have a look at that. Let's just run that report. I don't even know what it'll look like. So it's saying who the unit address, property manager, total viewings for that particular unit is 17. 33 for that. So I'm not saying that this is a complete report or it needs a bit of work doing to it, but I think it's not a report I've ever tried to create, and because I've never tried to create it myself, I haven't gone back to them and said it needs a little bit of tidying up or we need this more information. So what I would say is if you start to create reports that aren't quite giving you the answer, because it's a cloud-based system and it's just a matter of variables and the database is so well written that actually we can add the variables into it to give you a much tighter report. But again, it's not a report I've run this, so I don't really know. I'm not really fussed by the viewings. I'm more fussed by the fact that my places are occupied. But it might be something you want to run, and therefore you would add more variables into that to create the sort of report that you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've just added 4, but you might have more fields you want to put in there, or maybe there's something missing, a variable missing that you might find useful. Like we got a market rent, a market frequency. So there's loads of variables in there, but again, you'd have to create the report yourself, and if it's lacking in anything, you just give us a shout.
Yeah. Okay. Inventory. At the moment, we kind of just use a Word document, and we sort of go around and fill it up, and then we upload it.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of inventory
No,
systems?
because there are inventory systems out there. I use a third-party inventory company, so my inventories are probably more expensive than they need to be. But so for me, what's good is that I get the inventory reports are done by my contractors, and so
Yeah.
they're uploaded to the system by my contractors. So I actually don't even touch the inventories at all. But if you're looking to do your own inventories, there are some good inventories, but for the moment, and we've been asked by one particular company to have an API that allows their inventory that they create on an iPad to be uploaded straight
Yeah.
to the system.
That would be really
And
good. Yeah.
in time, we will no doubt do it, but it's not available today. So you would have to upload the inventory
That's
from
fine.
your PDF and just share it with your tenant there and then.
No problem. The other thing we do is when we issue the new AST agreement for a new tenant that's just come on board,
Yeah.
we do everything electronically. So we get them to sign it electronically using a system called EchoSign. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
Yeah, I have. It's very good. Again, with if I just go to a tenancy, doesn't matter which one. Let's just go to that one. The only thing we can do within Arthur at the moment is create a tenancy document
Yeah.
from a template. Now, what that means is I can create contract, and these are the templates I've put on. I've only put a couple on, an AST addendum and section 21.
Yeah.
So if I choose any of those, and then I click share with my tenant, and also I can download it after save and email it, the contract will mail merge the contract together.
Yeah.
It'll share it with my tenant with a description, please sign and return, but they can't sign it electronically in the moment. Yeah. So I can create, or I can just download it and send it to them or whatever, but they can't sign it. But I can create contracts by just uploading a contract in Word. It's done here actually. Let me just quickly show you.
So once I've mail merged it, I can just download it first and then
Correct.
send it out through EchoSign. Yeah.
Correct. Document templates. Here we go.
Okay.
And basically, it shows you what you do. You just download the variables, copy and paste them to your Word document, and then upload it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are my templates.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So you won't send an email out to say please to the tenant to say please print and sign. I can change that to say please wait.
in the description you could, well, you at the moment so the way I operate this, and again I'm just working within the constraints of the system, is I create the tenancy contract through create contract.
Mm-hmm.
I download it, but I don't share it, and then I download it and I share it with them, and in the description I say please print and sign and either re-upload, which they can do,
Yeah.
or send it back to me in the post, or I'll take it round, or someone will do it.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just working within the constraints. Ideally, what would be great would be for them to receive that document and electronically sign it at their end.
Okay. That's great.
But that would mean us, and we again, it's not something we haven't thought about. It's just everything. It's just another great function to have on the system.
Fantastic. Okay. Just a few more questions now.
Yeah,
Almost.
no, it's fine. Go on, you carry on.
Once we're happy and we go ahead, is there any sort of training facility for more members of staff?
Skype, because how many properties do you manage?
Well, we deal with student lets and professional lets, you see. So we
Okay.
do like rooms. So we've got 22 properties, but 122 rooms.
Yeah, I would say in that sort of quantity. Do you know how much this is going to cost you, by the way? So if I put in your pricing, you've got 122 rooms.
Yeah.
So you're paying 75 pence a unit per month,
Yeah.
which is 91.50 a month. That's the cheapest option.
Yeah.
Where are you based?
Birmingham.
Yeah, listen, I think to be quite honest, if you thought this was for you, then we would do that. Yeah, I'll do that for you free. It's not a problem. Or the alternative is we can do a Skype around the screen if you want, because those are much easier. Those I can do pretty much at the drop of a hat. Yeah, so you might have a bunch of 5 questions, and we can just sit within 10 minutes, and we can just go through it on the Skype.
Skype is perfect because we don't even have a high street presence. We all work from home, so
Well,
Skype will
Skype's even better.
work
So what
well.
you do is you give them. But see, that is much easier for me because I'm based in northwest London in Hampstead. Is our office.
Yeah,
So for me, not to have to come to Birmingham would be brilliant.
yeah,
But what
yes,
it means is that it's so easy just to schedule something, and then you saw how easy it was. We just organise a time, and you sort of queue up a few questions, and we just literally can knock them out very quickly.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and then outside of that, say if I'm working away at say midnight, for example, and if I needed any support, do you have any sort of online support or phone
No,
number?
well, not we have support. Well, you can see we have support that runs from 9 till 6. Nothing out of hours. But to be quite honest, you're not going to have any emergencies as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, that was an
Um,
example really, but yeah, 9 till 6 is perfect anyway.
yeah, so you can email us, but email is great because we respond pretty much straight away.
Okay,
We've got in the FAQ area lots of good answers to questions. We may not have some of the answers to your questions, but we would create an FAQ if you
yeah,
asked us something we didn't have an answer to, and
yeah,
we send you screenshots and everything. Um, but my experience is that it's fairly intuitive. That it does an awful lot. So there may be things that you may be unaware that it will do for you. But the point is, at the point you decide it's for you, just that manage automated task, we would spend, a good half hour with you going through each of those and saying, right, what do you want the system to do at this point,
yeah,
and help you create them. And then you're going to really understand the system so well after that,
yeah.
because that tells you exactly what the system is doing for you.
Okay,
Um, and I've got to tell you, from a tenant's perspective, it's amazing the feedback I get. The tenants, I mean, my portfolio is not as big as yours. We run a portfolio of about 75 units. But the tenants, and I run this part time. This isn't a full time job for me. It's a private portfolio, so I can do it all from my phone. I don't have any help, and the tenants think I'm a professional setup because
yeah,
they've got an app. They've never seen an app in their lives before
yeah.
and they've lived in
Lettings.
other properties, and they can't believe the transparency and the efficiency, and the amount of times I used to spend having they phone me or text me and email me. And I've got all these 3 different mediums to try and get the information from, and I've got to find my contractor, etc. And this has just changed my life completely. It just has.
Well,
What?
I'll be honest with you, Mark.
Yeah,
For the last sort of, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I've been looking at so many different bits of software like Rent Pro,
yeah.
Landlord Vision, and Expert Agent, and all that kind of stuff. And none of them, they've all got good points, but they don't seem to tick, you know, all the boxes for me. I know, I'm never going to tick every single box, but they never seem to be the ideal solution for me.
They all missed the point. See, I was like you. I looked at all these products, but the problem for me was they were all quite heavily financially based,
Yeah,
and what they fundamentally missed was, and what took most of my time up, was communication
the automated workflow
and the
side.
automated stuff, and it just didn't make sense to me with smartphones. Why? No, I'm not saying Arthur's perfect today. I would say Arthur is a good system. It needs to be
I
better in
think it's
certain areas.
miles. I think it's miles better than anything else that's out there at the moment.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I've done thorough research with all the other systems and stuff. So I'll be straight up with you now. I'm happy to sign up.
That's great. Well, look, the beauty of it is, again, there's no license,
Mhm.
and if you've got 20 people in your office, you can invite them all. So
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how many users you have.
yeah,
They're all seeing the same things, which is good for you because you can see how your whole portfolio is being managed.
yeah,
Um, you can have as many tenants, contractors, as much documentation on the system, and you only ever pay for using it.
yeah,
And you can archive your data every day or every week. It will give you a dozen. You can archive, so it sends you an email with downloadable CSV files. Um, you're never committed to it, It doesn't matter how many devices you put it on. That's the price you pay.
Yeah.
And what's good about working with guys like you is that you know your stuff and you'll feedback some good stuff, and we need that feedback.
Yeah.
In order to make it really great, we need people like yourselves that use it, that can give us some feedback, and yeah.
That's great. Well, what I'll do is, my business partner's been trying to call me since we've been having this chat.
Okay, no worries.
I'll have a chat with him. We are, you know, we are going to be pretty much good to go because he lets me sort of deal with this side of things.
Yeah.
So what would be the next steps?
So the next step is you just have you actually signed up?
I haven't signed up yet. No.
Okay, so you sign up. You get 30 days free anyway.
Okay.
So you can start putting your data on.
Yeah.
You can import your data, but I'm not sure if you want to do it properly. Make sure your data's in correctly. Because the problem with importing is we give you these template spreadsheets which you need to fill in.
Yeah.
But the problem is that's great, but you're never really going to learn the system that well if you just import it. You're not going to know where things really go.
Yeah.
So my advice is it might be a little bit painful, but start to put in your first property.
Yeah.
Maybe invite your first. You don't have to put all 120 in. You could go with 10 if you want, and you're only going to pay £9 or something a month. Yeah, you don't have to put them all in today, because remember you're only going to pay for the number of units you put in.
Right.
So if you were to just put in, I don't know, I think you can put in the minimum is 6. You pay £9 a month. Yeah,
Okay.
as soon as you go to 7, you're up to £10. Well, listen, it's neither here or there, but
yeah. So
you could put in 6 properties, or one house with 6 units, whatever you want. Invite those tenants, put your documents on the system, and you'll see very quickly how it all works.
Okay.
And depending on how far you want to go with it, you can call me and we'll say, right, well, let's set up your financials for that particular house, and then you'll see how all that works.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So I would just get going, but you get 30 days free anyway, so you're not paying for the. And then after 30 days, it will say, right, do you want to carry on, and pay if you want to carry on.
Sure.
And that's it.
Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Listen, delighted to hear from you. Give us a shout if you need anything. Yeah.
Okay, I'll sign up later on today anyway, and then
No worries.
yeah.
Good luck with it, but don't hesitate to call me with anything. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for
Okay.
your time again,
All right.
Mark.
Take
All the
care.
best.
Bye.
Bye now.